Yo everybody, I want to show you something that I really don't want to show you, but you're going to do it anyway. We have a whole set of cabinets here. This set, they came from the manufacturer, and every single door panel is bridged. That means that when it was finished, there's definitely plenty of room, didn't have to go this way, but when they came finished from the cabinet manufacturer, there's paint into that groove between the panel and the frame, and I can't get it out, and I'm not going to. It is, for me, I would have just returned it, but I'm not. So I asked the clients, the first thing I do is say, hey, this is the situation. What do you want to do? Here are your options. So what are the options? Can you dig it out? Not effectively, no. I definitely, the way that this is done, it's catalyzed as a conversion varnish. It's very hard, and it's so close together, and some of the panels are just disgusting looking that it's not going to happen. So the caulking is really the only solution here that I don't recommend it, but that's on the table. For me, I need a client's approval. Yes, I do send an email out to the client saying, here's the situation. Even after a conversation on the phone, even in a text message, it doesn't matter. Always get the client to approve it in writing in an email. And what you have to do is say, hey, this is Yanni from wherever you're at, or this is Mike, etc. Here's photos of the issue. For us, we take pictures of everything. Most cabinet jobs have hundreds of pictures taken. So in this situation, I would take a picture of every single door. In this, I think there's 75 pieces. And in the panels, there's probably 90, including the panels. That's every single piece. I have all those pictures in a Dropbox folder I will attach in the email, and I'll say, here's the situation. Look at how it came from the factory. I've called you, I've given you the solution. Not even the solution, just an offer is to caulk it. And understand that here's what could happen. It could crack. It's probably going to crack, but this is the only way to mitigate what it looks like right now. We'll use the best caulk we can find. We're gonna give it optimum time to dry and then coat it as recommended on the caulk. So just so you know what I'm caulking with, this is what I do, and I'll flip it around and I'm gonna show you actually how I do it. But I use Suremax caulk. If this is the case, if you're gonna do it, use Suremax caulk. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna take the gun and you're gonna clip off the tip until it's just barely open. I mean, just so it just opens up. I'm gonna flip the camera around, I'm gonna do one door for you, and I'm gonna show you. What I do for clients is I have a video like this already, and I show them in the video of what I'm going to do with the cabinets, and I'm gonna say, here's what it's gonna look like. And I also show them a picture of caulk that's cracked a few years later, just so they know what can happen. And then what I do is I offer them a solution if that happens again. Now, when I flip this around, I want you to notice that this door is already painted the color. I've already primed this. I've already primed this again. I've sanded. This is my first coat of finish, and now I'm going to apply the caulk. Why do I do that? In case this caulk shrinks, I already have the finish color behind it. I want to mitigate as much of this as possible. There is an extra cost to this, and sometimes you'll need extra paint. You'll definitely need more time. This says you can recoat with latex paint in 4 hours. I'm gonna wait 3 days. 3 days, yes, before I'm gonna put another coat on this. Now, when I spray on top of this, I don't catalyze. That's why this first coat is already catalyzed. The second coat, the coat that's going on top of this will not be catalyzed. I don't want that catalyst to affect the caulk. It will accelerate the cracking over time. So yes, that is the only time I caulk, is when I get written approval from the homeowner. In certain situations like this, it's very rare, but it is happening more often. And a lot of DIYers in this group want to know how to fix their panels when they do it wrong, or they just want to fill in the gap anyway. I don't recommend it, but in this certain circumstance, you'll need it. Make sure you have written approval and photo documentation. Flip it around, I'll show you. All right, so here's the door, and you can see this panel. If I zoom in, it is already filled in there. That's a no-no. That's not how it's supposed to look. It's not supposed to go from filled to open. But that's so far tight, I can't crack it. Or I would crack it. Most of it's good, but look, that's a no-no. I can't work with that. So I'm gonna zoom out. I'm gonna show you how I do this. I take a wet rag, double it up, and I'm going to run my finger on the inside, flipping pretty fast. You have to work very fast. You take your caulk gun, woo, sorry, it is right in my face. Okay, so it looks good, but that's not it. So this would be like the best caulk job, nice and tight seam. If you're running beads, that's what they should look like, nice and tight from above. But we need to push that in there. So what I'm gonna do is, from the back side of the door with the seam facing out, I'm gonna take a single, so instead of doubling up, I'm gonna pop my finger through a single, rag, fold over, and I'm gonna push it backwards into the gap. It's gonna do two things. One, it's gonna displace some of the caulk onto the door, which we don't want. But two, it's really gonna close that gap up. So you're gonna run, make sure it stays nice and wet. And then you're gonna pull out the secret weapon, which is this. If you've never seen one of these, this is a rubber razor blade. You're gonna take this rubber razor blade, wiping it off with your wet rag before you do it, and taking that caulk out of your flat. Pushing back with the wet rag, give you a nice finish. Wet the razor blade every time, pull it back, right to the corner. Do it a couple times if you need. And then always take your once over rag, now it's in my left hand, and I'm pulling it away into the corner. Because I don't want that caulk to sit on the face frame. Nice and tight. That's what it's supposed to look like. I'll zoom in. It's what you want, just in that crack. You gotta work fast because it's gonna dry. You can get pretty obsessive with it, so just be careful, because once you let it dry, it will gum up. Each door should take you about 30 seconds to a minute, depending on the size. Wipe any excess off. Make sure your corners are nice. Okay. And that, folks, is when you have the unfortunate time to caulk a panel. That is how it's done. Any more playing, you're gonna ball it up. That's it. See right there? Oh, so when the misfortunate time that you have to caulk panels, make sure you use the best caulk that you can find. I mean, what is it, $8, $7? It's gonna save you in the long run. You're gonna do your due diligence that you've tried as hard as you can to fix this. Don't use glue. Let the wood has to expand and breathe. If you glue this together at that, you're gonna crack something. And probably what will happen is the frame is gonna crack because you've glued everything together. The frame expands in two different directions. The rails and the stiles are gonna go in perpendicular directions, and if you tie them together with the panel, something is gonna pop. Even if it's an MDF panel and it's glued together, the frame still needs to move around. When the door is assembled, typically there's some rubber balls in here and that allows the panel to move around even if it's MDF. So don't go using like Loctite. You know, you think that you're just gonna glue it together and then paint it, because Loctite or a glue product that you can caulk is paintable. That's not the move. The move is to use caulk if you have to. Now this, again, I am not telling you to caulk panels. We don't do this unless situations like this. This is very unique, but under these circumstances, we have $60,000 of cabinets that the lady wants to look as good as possible.